Anyway, okay. So, analog footage of all my retro stuff, VHS, Video 8, High 8, Digital 8. One thing in common, it's all 480i, right? Right. So 30 frames per second, 60 interlaced fields per second. So I had been thinking for a long time, I wonder, wouldn't it be cool if some person who's way smarter than me out there developed an algorithm that could interpolate those 60 fields, fill in the missing data from the alternating fields, and turn it into a true 60 frames per second. That's got to be possible. I mean, just it'd be kind of the same idea as in-betweening, where you're taking visual data from the adjacent frames and filling in the missing pieces. That's got to be possible. So then, I think his name is David Wright, who's one of my longtime viewers and a huge video nerd, messaged me and says, "Hey, Sean, have you ever thought about doing your Multimedia Chronicles retro videos in 60 frames per second?" I'm like, dude, I would love to. Like, I'm sure that's got to be possible some way. I mean, the 60 fields and 30... It's like, I have an algorithm for you. I'm like, what? I have an algorithm for you. Here is the algorithm, and he put it on like his Dropbox, and it was like everything I needed. The algorithm exists.
Is this public, or is it just for you?
It's public. It's freely available. And it is exactly what I was thinking. I was like, oh my god, dude, I was thinking this has to be possible, and here you come along, someone's actually done it. It takes crazy amounts of processing time to do, but it does exactly what I described. It takes the data from those 60 fields, fills in the missing information from the the alternate fields, and turns it into true 60 frames per second. So that's what I was saying. If you download those videos and step frame through them, you will see it is true 60 frames per second. Because I had been experimenting with other things, like frame interpolation, plugins for Vegas and shit, and it just wasn't working well. There was like artifacting up the yin-yang, and it just wasn't working. But this one works. It just works. So I've been using that for all my retro videos for the past like couple of years. And I mean, if you watch them, the end result is undeniable. I mean, they look fantastic, you know.
Well, will this be transferable to like television shows that were filmed in that type of...
I don't see why it wouldn't be. It's just a matter of, do the studios want to do it? Mm-hmm. But it could absolutely be done. One of the examples he sent me when he sent me the software was, here, look at these frames. And he sent me, it was an example from Full House, which is the sitcom I hate most in the entire history of television. And but what it was is like, okay, here's the original frame, and it was, you know, had the combing artifacts that you see from interlaced video on a non-interlaced display. And then here's the resultant frame after feeding it through the algorithm, and it was clean as could be.
Was it progressive?
It was progressive, yeah. It was like a solid frame with everything, no combing.
I want a piece of that shit. What's the name of that?
I'm going to have to look it up because I don't remember.
Holy fucking moly, because that is some good shit right there, honestly.
It's amazing. So any kind of interlaced video, it works for PAL, NTSC, doesn't care. As long as it's NTSC.
How well would that work with like a telecine film, though?
It does not
where, like,
work.
the original...
Yeah.
Source was 24 frames a second progressive, but it had to be like manipulated in order to play on modern.
That's the thing. It only works with interlaced sources. So what I do is, because what it's doing is it's interpolating the information from the fields. That's specifically what the algorithm does. Is it looks for fields and then interpolates the missing information from each field. So, so it won't work with a progressive source. If you took, say...
No, that's not what I mean.
If you took, say, that progressive source and had a reverse conversion that turned it into, say, 60 fields, you could then convert it back through the algorithm and get 60 frames per second out of it. So
right, like a Hollywood film that was telecinied and put on like Laserdisc, for instance. And then I tried to.
There would be a second step to that process. If it was on Laserdisc, that would be 60 fields. It would be converted already to interlaced video. So it's specifically for interlaced video. It'll work with PAL or NTSC. It doesn't care. It just looks for interlacing. But so basically what I've been doing is taking the original, like all my footage is captured in DV AVI format, which is a natively interlaced format. It preserves the original quality as close as possible without having the massive file size of uncompressed. It's still pretty massive though. You're looking at about 12 gigs per hour of video. So I feed that in, and there's a codec I discovered. It's kind of like FLAC. You know how FLAC works for audio, where it's lossless compression. It's like FLAC, but it's for video. I again forget what it's called, but it's in my codecs somewhere. So I take the DV footage, convert it to this lossless interlaced format, then feed that through the algorithm in VideoDub, which turns it into 60 frames per second, then bring that into Vegas and render out the final video from there. So there's a lot of steps to the process, but the end result is just awesome fucking quality. So I had some people commenting like saying, okay, I downloaded your video and I step framed through it thinking like, oh, it's bullshit, some like lame conversion to turn it to 60 frames per second, but it's actually true 60 frames per second. How did you do that with this old footage from the 90s? Like, oh, you know, magic.
There's a lot of PAL movie releases that were released at 25 frames a second, but they were just sped up to 25 frames per second.
Oh god.
So like
PAL
you can get true 24 frames per second. You can
convert it back. You can convert it back.
Right.
But there would be a couple steps to the process to do that.
Right.
One of which would be
just concert films that were like that I was trying to convert back to its original, like as preserved as possible state.
Yeah, Toon Man, who was present for a lot of those videos, says, have to say the 60 frames per second on the Toronto trip 1992 videos, which was like a 25-part saga on the retro postings, said really impressed me. It felt so lifelike. Yeah, it really does. Like, it really brings those old videos to life.
You remember when I brought up the whole Doomsday project that was going on with the where they would create a device that would read the raw RF information that a Laserdisc puts off.
Oh yeah. I remember you mentioned
create a Laserdisc emulator.
Yeah.
That would actually play it back. You in perfect quality.
It was like this crazy thing.
It would bypass old 30-year-old electronics.
Well, and I was talking about, well, dude, S-Video, and you're like, okay, dude, S-Video has nothing on this process.
Well, they're actually starting to move more towards the same process to VHS and tape recordings.
Nice.
So they're actually starting to be able to capture that as well. So there's even more higher quality stuff that might be possible down the road.
Interesting.
Which you can probably apply the same process to.
Yeah.
But you don't have to play it through an old VCR that has really shitty electronics.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what I do when I capture off VHS and stuff is I feed it through my Digital 8 camcorder, which has built-in time-based correction and allows me to output it
which is nice,
digitally straight to the computer. So the only analog stage is from the VCR to the camcorder, and then everything is pure digital from there on out. And time-based corrected, so that makes a big difference. Like even my VHS footage, like honestly, the captures look better than if I was just watching it through the VCR. You know.
So imagine like cutting one more step out of that process.
Oh yeah, just
one more analog step out of that process.
Lifting the signal straight out of there, and then there still needs to be some level of time-based correction, I'm sure. But
well, yeah, of course. They don't have it perfect yet, so I'm sure that the emulator that they write for that could probably do that for you.
The thing with Laserdisc is it's time-based corrected right out of the gate. So like it's a very that's one of the things that made it so beautiful at the time, was it was the most stable-looking video you could get. And, you know,
here's Johnny.
Yeah. Where are we going?
I don't give a shit. Let's go anywhere.
Pleasant Park. Go.
This conversation is too riveting to give a fuck about Fortnite.
We're talking about analog video. Hell yeah, baby.